I think our whole team is really excited. There's new NCAA rules that allow more access now than ever between a coaching staff and players, which I think is really beneficial to everybody in the game itself. So, although you're working, what I feel like is like the off season sometimes feels a little bit longer than it used to because you have the ability to practice, you have the ability to each week deal with these guys in small groups and team settings. So you've been at it for a little bit longer. A long time ago, college basketball practice started on October 15th. That was the magic day. But remember, this summer and the fall, you really didn't have a lot of interaction at all, even before October 15th. Now, because you have the summer months and the fall, it's a different type of buildup. But there's nothing like, your first game. And I think whether you're a senior getting ready to do it for the fourth time, or somebody like Des Claude and Cam Kraft who are freshmen, it's what you think about, and it's finally here. I think it's exciting on every level.
Coach, what can you tell us about Morgan State?
Yeah, I don't have a lot of answers to that right now. Twofold. One, it's a season opener, so you're going a lot on last year, and names and faces change more now in college basketball than ever before. So I think we got a good understanding where it's kind of a work in progress for that. This game is clearly about us. We have to be ready to go. We've had an opportunity to have a scrimmage, and we've had an opportunity to play Kentucky Wesleyan. You guys saw us against Kentucky Wesleyan. I think for us, the number one thing is to improve, to be more sure-footed, sure of ourselves on defense, on offense. I think we all know each other a little bit better today than maybe we did even 2 weeks ago. And to play with great energy and take advantage of playing a home game. And certainly we respect Morgan State. It's just right now on this Friday, with the game being on Monday, I don't know as much as I'll know when we get to game day. But we're hard at work right now to prepare for them.
Coach, defense really starts with the ability to guard the ball. And is that more of a want thing, a toughness thing, or is that something that you can really teach and that you can get your guys to improve on over the course of a season?
Yeah. So I would say definitely we can improve because it's not just the player guarding the ball. It's the help, being dependable, players being in the right positions off the ball. Defense is such a team thing. Once in a while, the individual that's guarding the ball, clearly he has to do a great job, but it's that plus the help, plus the communication, a lot of other factors. We definitely can get better. We have to get better at that. I think you saw that the other day against Kentucky Wesleyan, and we will. I'll also say there's a huge, significant part of that's called talent. Can you guard the ball? Are you quick? And you could be the toughest guy in the world, but if you're slow-footed, there's only so much you can do. The analogy I'll give you is, what makes a cornerback in football really good? You got to be intelligent, great positioning, great technique, all that. You rely on your teammates as well, but at the end of the day, how quick, how fast are you? That certainly helps. And, I think for our team, getting the quicker players to be better, guys that aren't as quick, to be smarter, and then really support them with help. But no doubt on our priority list, that's near the top. Can we defend the ball without fouling? Can we defend all these different types of players? Because if the ball gets by an individual, like drives, nothing good is going to happen. For every time you block a shot or scramble, it really breaks your defense down. So, that's where we're at with that.
Knowing it'll continue to evolve as the season goes on, how set do you feel like your rotation is going into this first game, or is there a lot of moving parts still in terms of how those minutes will sort out?
Yeah, our rotation is very, very undetermined. We're just very, very early in the process. We know more today than we did a couple weeks back, like I had mentioned. I think every time we sit on our own bench, play another team, play against a different style, you start to get a better feel of who can do what. And then, sometimes combinations of players is really important. A guy who subs in with that group that's already on the court can really be effective. However, if you sub 2 in at the same time, maybe not as effective. So we're really trying to work on that. I'll tell you that creating more depth, getting quality of play from the guys that don't start the game, again, is a really big part of what we're trying to do. You can improve. Cam and Dez, 2 freshmen, in fairness to them, God, they just got here, and they're 18 years old. So every week that they participate, every game, every practice, their upside is tremendous. Where they could be at Christmas, they would be almost unrecognizable on where they would have started against Vanderbilt in a scrimmage. I hope that would be the case. They're both talented. They're going to learn. They're willing listeners. They're good players. So, with freshmen, that's going to happen. The other guys that are more experienced and seasoned, those are the guys that we just have to incrementally make better. But I really hope that our depth can grow as the year goes on, not diminish. And figuring out who can do what is a big part of what we're after. I thought a number of guys who subbed in the other night didn't help us win. They might have played in the game and got minutes, and you need to sub. You need to sub sometimes just to make sure that guys don't run out of gas. But I don't know how much they helped us. Not everybody who didn't start, but a couple guys. And look, when you come in the game, you have to be able to keep this going, make winning plays, and we're trying to figure that out.
You have a core of really experienced guys, some guys that have played a lot of basketball. How much is that in your first year back here? How much is that going to help you? And how does that experience kind of help the guys around them?
No, the experience is really, really important. And you're right. We do have a good core group of returners. And if you look at Zach Freeman, Jack Nungy, and Kobe Jones in particular, they're returning players. They're returning players that have been successful. They've been on the All Big East team, preseason, postseason, whatever. So, the fact that we have that is really good. And you mix in Sule Boom, Adam Kunkel, those types of guys that have played 3-4 years, whether it's at Xavier or another place. Experience is really important. We're not getting the total benefits of that, though, right now, simply because I'm a new coach and we have a new staff. And it just takes time. Again, I think that everything settles in as we're together more because their experience will take over. They'll get used to a new voice, used to a number of things that I'm sure are very different for them. And I think they'll get more and more comfortable as we keep going on. I think that's the advantage we have, or the disadvantage, depending on how you look at it. Could we be further along today with that experience against Morgan State if we've all been together for a longer period of time? No doubt. But I also think that, as you watch us, you should see great improvement over this month.
And one guy I wanted to ask about in particular is Kiki Tandy. What have you seen from him in the preseason? What are your impressions?
Yeah, so Kiki's had a great offseason. He's changed his body. He's worked extremely hard. It's one of the most hardest things to do in life is to do what he did, really replacing almost 20 pounds, losing bad and replacing it with good, his body fat. So he's in the best shape of his life. He's a very, very compliant guy, comes to work every day. He has to improve defensively. He has to impact the game and help us on both sides. Awareness, being in the right place at the right time, never getting beat on the dribble. Kiki's plenty talented enough. He's one of those guys that should be able to guard the ball that we talked about, but just improving on defense, being more trustworthy, dependable, on the ball, off the ball. And if he could do that, I have no doubt offensively, he has some answers for us. His ability to shoot the three-point shot, play the team game. A lot of programs would love to have a guy like him subbing in the game. So, I hope that he can be part of the solution as we keep moving forward. He's had a really, really good offseason, though. I don't know if Kiki could work any harder over the last 5 months than what he has.
Offensively, I'm sure that it's dependent on the situation and the opponent, but when you look at a game and you look at your possessions, is the hope that you just are using your flow offense to find good shots and you don't have to find yourself calling a bunch of set plays? Or is there like a breakdown that you look for there within a game? Like, hey, I'd love it for it to be balanced and say half of our offense is just our flow and the other half is me calling up plays.
I think it's going to be a balance. And I would say that early on here, too many of our possessions are we're playing too quick, too fast. You know, it's that time of possession where, you know, look, we want to push the ball, we want to play with pace, we want to be fast into our offense. That's how we want to do it. That's what I hope you would see when you look down and watch our offense. But that doesn't mean we have to take quick shots. A quick shot should be one that's easily understood. You know, it's a post catch, a three-point shot taken by one of our select players, a drive at the basket that makes perfect sense. But most of the time, you know, if you play against good teams, especially as the season unfolds, those quick shots aren't as plentiful. You know, there's 5 guys on defense. They scout, they work on their defense, they hold their players accountable. You got to move the defense and break them down, and we're just not there yet. Too many possessions are happening first 10 seconds, the shot's going up. And I have no problem with the shot going up. It just has to be a high percentage, really good one. And to my point, you just can't play the game in the first 10 seconds you have the ball. We have to take great shots. Part of guarding the ball better and being a better, more dependable defensive team is you have to play offense, be smart, take great shots. And sometimes you have to use the clock in a good way, where maybe the great shot you got has 8 seconds left on the shot clock. Then we all get back. So I think sometimes right now, early, our offense is hurting our defense. And that's on our coaching staff. We have to, I don't want to say slow it down, but I think maybe just generally speaking, we should see more of a blend between, there's some early shots, but there's also a lot of shots that they're playing the team game, you know, working the ball inside, first side, second side, and they're taking the shot near the end of the shot clock. We haven't shown that yet. We have to do a better job of that. And so far, I would say if you listen to me, Coach, we're talking about run to score, play with pace, push it, be fast into it, and we're just not there in terms of you can do that and also not shoot.
Is there anything else that stood out from the exhibition after watching the tape?
You know, we struggled too much in the first half guarding the ball. I thought we wore them down a little bit, which we probably should have been able to do that based on the size and the talent discrepancy, but our defense was clearly better in the second half. They scored 18 points in the second half. They scored 44 in the first half. I think they scored 5 points in the last 11 minutes or so. You think about, so that means, think about how much they scored in the previous 30, 29, right? So I do think our defense got better as the game wore on. There's some real good to point towards that. I thought Kobe Jones defensively was really good on the second half. I mean, he had 5 steals in 20 minutes. So, you know, he set the tone for his teammates. We created more turnovers. We just played with more energy. And I thought Kobe, he was contagious. You know, it's almost like he made it okay for other guys to start making some plays. So I thought he was really good on defense. And I thought Zach Fremantle, maybe more than any player on our team, really stood out from start to finish. He was our best player.
Just wanted to ask you about your impressions of the Big East this season. Obviously, Nova has dominated this league for quite some time. Do you feel like this is a year where there could be as much balance as there's been in this league in a while?
Yes, you know, I'll answer that similar to how I answered the question about Morgan State. You know, in some ways, I mean, you guys know as much or more than I do when it comes to that. Total respect for Villanova, Jay Wright, Kyle Neptune, I'm sure will continue the very similar culture as was in place because Kyle was there for so much of their success. But it seems to me that the Big East is a balanced league, that there are no easy outs, that there's great parity from the middle to the bottom. Whoever rises to the top, there might not be a big difference between the conference champion and the 4th or 5th place finisher, like in terms of depth. So usually when you're in a conference like that, I mean, it's like a war of attrition. who can be consistent, who can, knock on wood, have great stretches of health, and what team can continue to grow and be better. So you don't want to be the same team in mid to late February as you were right after Christmas. And all of us are trying to accomplish that, but it looks to me like the Big East is going to be just rough, tough, balanced, deep. And remember, this will be the first year that we've ever played 20 games. So you play 20 games, everybody playing 20 games, plus the Big East tournament. It's going to be a lot of great games, basketball. Those months of February and March are going to be difficult for everybody.
Is it a safe assumption to think that if Kunkel can't get back on the floor and practice this week, you're probably not going to rush him out there without sort of getting his legs back underneath him?
Yes, but we're anticipating him practicing tomorrow. Today's off for us, so tomorrow is basically a week out from his injury. We'll know more after tomorrow. If things are good tomorrow, then he has a chance to practice a second time Sunday. Things are good there, then I think it's a little bit of an easier call for us. But clearly, we're not going to rush him back. Not because of the opponent we're playing or fact it's a season opener. It's just looking at him, his own benefit, making sure that he's completely healthy or as close to it as he needs to be. Because sometimes, and we've all seen it, in your attempt to get a player back, in fairness to him, you didn't put him in a good position to be successful. He's out there, but he's not himself. He's uncomfortable, and he can't help his team. So I think, this weekend we will hope to determine that if Adam can play, that he also can be himself, and he's confident, and he can help us. But clearly we want him back. We want to be at full strength, especially with the start of things.